This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live 100 feet from the Gulf of America. Here are your award-winning social media superstars, the hosts of Beach Talk Radio, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there that's a mother. And we appreciate you all coming out on this Sunday. A little too loud, Dave? All right. We'll turn it down a little bit. Is that better? All right. And the other thing I wanted to mention was we wanted to John, if you could have a seat real quick. We're going to invite one other person on for 2 minutes before you, because you're making me very nervous. You're like 7 feet tall, standing over me like that. We want to thank everybody who volunteered for the race yesterday. We raised $5,000 for the Community Foundation, which was nice. Little quick story about the race. We have a 94-year-old gentleman that runs the race, and he came across the finish line yesterday and fell.
Well, he didn't. You make it sound like what you do, which is trip at the finish line. He didn't trip at the finish line. He made it across the finish line. It was fine. And then a couple minutes later, he fell and really whacked his head.
When you're 94 years old, you're a little more brittle than you are when you're 34 or 24. So he had a nice gash on the back of his head, which are, what do you call him now? Jillian's husband.
Our son-in-law.
Our son-in-law. He he put his hand behind the head to hold the blood in.
Yes, our neighbor donated his race shirt, and our son-in-law was sitting there holding it on. So
Jason is his name, not our son-in-law's name, but Jason is his name. And he was laying on the sidewalk. And I want to thank Deputy Moore from Lee County Sheriff's Office, who was driving by. And I don't know if you ran out there and pulled your shirt up or something, but he pulled over.
I was running out there while I was on the phone with 911, and there was a lady ahead of me, and I'm like, don't let that deputy go by. And then I'm like, hey, how about you guys tell that deputy to stop?
So he goes running back and forth to his vehicle with the gauze, trying to get gauze to help out, and he was great.
And
so thank
Fort
you to
Myers
him.
Beach
The
fire department
showed up. Yep.
They were very nice.
And so now when you're 94 years old and you hit your head on the ground or whatever you hit your head on, and he's got his knees are scuffed up, his elbows are scuffed up, you would think you would go to the hospital and get checked out. He would refuse to go to the hospital. His wife said, no, we're not going to the hospital. I think this is the second time the guy fell. Like the first time he fell on the race course on the sand, and he wouldn't go to the hospital. I think the guy wants to die in one of our races, to be honest with you. I really do.
Dear, the guy that fell on the race course, that was a different guy.
No, that was totally him. We're going to go back to the picture. It was totally him.
You're going to see.
How many 94-year-olds do you think are running in that race?
I know, but the guy, I think the one you're talking about, that's the one that Jim sat with.
Yeah.
It's a different guy.
Okay, different guy. All right. Well, anyway, hopefully he's okay. And
we were wishing him well, and hopefully he'll check in.
Yes.
Or if somebody knows him,
we'll call.
So
thank you to the town staff, by the way. The town staff, I work with Andy and Frankie and Tom Yazzo. They have a buggy, and they help us with the cones. And thank you to Eve at Turtle Time. She gives me a text early in the morning, says you're good to go. You can go out on the course. It was funny yesterday. I said to our race guy, I said, do not use any flashlights, because you can't. It's against the rules. So I see him walking out there with a flashlight, and I was like, Mark, shut that freaking thing off before you get me. Last thing I want is Eve yelling at me. We have a great relationship with Eve. And so everything was great with the town staff. They didn't bring one buggy. They brought 2 or 3 buggies. They had backup, and they're a great help every year. So we appreciate that. We can't do any of these races without all the volunteer help that we get. And it was nice to be able to write a $5,000 check. So thank you to everybody for yesterday. And and the Megan Rose Band. Toward the end of the day, Megan, we packed up and we were ready to go. And Megan's on the stage there's a 4-piece band. Of course, on the lawn there, I said, Megan, just play as long as you want. Because by 12:30, it was like 112 degrees out there. They were sitting under the umbrellas. They were up on the stage baking. So before John comes on, I want to invite Judy. Come over, Judy. Your kids are watching in Wisconsin. Come on, Judy Olson's birthday is today.
She's not happy.
Judy
but...
and Jeff has made me do this, Judy, by the way. So when you go back to the table, you can whack him in the head and we'll call 911 for you. So Judy's birthday is today. Judy and Jeff come down to the show, and Jeff brings down bratwurst and cheese and plates of all kinds of stuff. But
Danish,
all
Kringle.
kinds of great stuff. Kringle.
Yes.
So Judy, thank you so much for.
First of all, happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
And happy birthday.
Microphone has to be closer,
Oh,
please.
yes.
Yes.
Keep it close.
And
Thank
so
you.
how old are you?
None of your business.
So happy birthday.
Enough.
Where are
Old
you?
enough.
Where are you in Wisconsin?
Menominee Falls.
All right, Menominee Falls, the hardest
It's
city
taken-
to say
Yes,
in
it's
Wisconsin.
taken us a while to get used to that. So what are you going to do for your Mother's Day / birthday?
We're gonna go swim in the pool.
Okay.
Where do
Is
you
he
guys
not
stay?
taking you out to eat?
Well, we're gonna check out a couple new places possibly.
Yeah. Where do you stay when you're on the island?
We stay at the Casa Marina.
Casa Marina, very nice. Nice to see them open. So is there anything special you want Jeff to buy you for your birthday?
No, he actually already
What did he get you?
surprised me with
Breakfast? Bought you
no,
breakfast
with a
here?
hair color, nails.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Jeff, who took you shopping for hair color? Do you know how to do that yourself?
That was
Okay, gotcha.
dropped her off and said, "Send me the bill."
Yes.
Yep. He's been saying, do you want to brighten up your hair because it's been gray and blah,
I would never say that to you, dear. I'm sorry.
So, I know.
You're gonna be paying a
Yeah.
lot more now, sir.
Right. I don't think the hair color is going to be enough after that comment. All right, Judy.
But
Well,
it was a
thank
nice
you and
surprise.
happy birthday.
Happy
And we love
birthday.
Wisconsin, by the
Happy
way.
Mother's Day to everybody.
Yes. All right, everybody.
Sorry to do that to you, but
Jeff made me do it. Our first guest, as you all know, there's something going on the island that came out of the blue last week. And our first guest today is second guest actually is John King, Councilman John King. Big hand for John.
Just like to say happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day, Kim.
thank you.
Can't
Yes.
been easy raising two children.
I know. One who never grows
One
up.
who never leaves the house.
Right.
either.
guys-
right.
Did you guys see the video with the hat? I had the dog hat on last night.
Yeah.
Listen,
Hey,
you
one of
tell-
the cool things though for you next year is you'll get an extra holiday,
yeah.
Grandparents
Yeah, that's
Day.
right.
in
Right.
That's
September.
Very
right.
nice. Yeah. So Jilly is our daughter is pregnant. How many weeks is she now?
She's coming up on 20.
She calls Kim and she says, I can celebrate Mother's Day too, right? I mean, I don't know. Can you officially celebrate Mother's Day
Yes.
when you're only okay? All right. Easy, ladies. Easy. Holy smokes. So
Have you ever carried a baby? It counts.
I carried one in my arms last
well, you
week.
carry one in your belly, like out to here.
So John, there's a little thing going on called a recall election that
Recall
you're-
petition.
recall. They're in the process. There's now, I guess they have 30 days. So tomorrow will be 1 week when Bill started to get the signatures. So whatever 30 minus 7 is, days left for them. I mean, honestly, if we're being honest, I don't think they're going to have a hard time getting 10% or 15%. It's when they,
See,
I don't think
that's
so.
where you and I disagree. I mean,
I
there's
just-
plenty of places where you and I disagree.
Sure,
but-
sure. But then the 50% thing will be harder to get. So when you first heard about the recall, what did you think?
I was stunned. Yeah, very, 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 very stunned. I mean, this is interesting. You always hear about things being judged in the court of public opinion.
Mhm.
Well, this is actually going to be judged in the court of public opinion because the accusations don't really matter. They
Right.
don't have to be proven. I'll put my faith in the people every time.
So just a little background of how this whole thing happens. There are only 7 things that you can allege or you can start a recall petition for.
I'll be
And-
surprised if you can pronounce the first two.
Malfeasance and misfeasance are, I
Nice.
mean, and those
Hey,
things
he's
are
been
wide ranging
practicing.
things. And so the interesting thing about a recall is you can list these things that they have listed it for John and Karen. They have to be 200 words or less, but you don't have to prove them. They could be totally false. They could be totally made up. And everybody on this planet knows that this recall is about Seagate. It's
Sure.
only about one thing. It's about Seagate. And you can't put Seagate on a recall petition because it was a valid vote. You might not like the vote, but it was a valid vote. So they've listed these three things. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch our interview with Bill Veach, but I mean, he basically said he wasn't going to show anybody the proof. He said, I don't want to reveal what the proof is right now, which I thought was interesting. It won't matter, though, because they don't have to prove anything.
Well, the thing is, no, they don't have to prove anything. But if someone, to me, if you're asking somebody to sign a petition for something, you would want to see, is there something to it? I mean, if you just are blindly signing, I mean, it's not something I would do.
But they will blindly sign because I think people are upset. It's about the Seagate thing. But so I want to go through
Here's an interesting thing. Yesterday, I got notified by somebody that was asked to sign the petition by one of the folks. And they were told it was about the 17-story building and that it's coming to a vote. Well, it had already been voted. So there's not some real honesty going on in a lot of things. So.
Right. They're using these three things to push the Seagate recall. And if we're being honest, if Jim Adderholt was eligible to be recalled, he'd be on the ballot too.
Sure, because he's listed in one of the charges against Karen.
Right. And he's not eligible to be on the recall because you have to have served 1/4 of your term. And Jim was just reelected in November. So 1/4 there is 1 year out of 4, just in case you were wondering about the math.
Oh, look at you.
He's on
getting
his
so
game
good
today.
at the math. Not like
Math
yesterday
and
with the
words.
dog years. I think it's 9.
So the other thing is, I know Bill Veach is out there. I told him we said on the interview, I said, Bill, it doesn't even look like your heart is really in this. Like you almost feel like they kind of pushed you out there because I mean, I respect Bill. Bill does have respect in the community. He was a town council member. He did resign. And it's really behind the scenes. You have, Ray Murphy, with the former mayor, and you have Steve Johnson, the former chair of the Murph committee, who, if you put those two faces out there, they wouldn't even get 10% of the signatures. But with Bill being out there pushing it, they have a chance to get the number of signatures that they need. But Bill didn't really seem like he was into the whole thing, but he's obviously was on TV talking about it too. So the 3 charges, John, I do want to go through the 3 and you address them if you want to.
Yeah.
Now the first thing is, before we get to these,
Can we do them one at a time?
yes, for sure. Yeah. The first thing is, let's say they get the signatures. If they get the 10%, then they will ask you to resign. If you want to resign, would you?
No.
Okay. So then they have to go back and get 15%. I don't think they need to redo it, but they need to get 15% of the voters, and then it would go to a ballot. So if you don't resign, they get to 15%. Will you defend? Is the town responsible to defend you, the town attorney?
I don't know, Ed. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not sure. Nancy and I have not talked about it. Becky and I have not talked about it.
Because the research that I saw was that.
What would you defend? How though? It's not like.
Well, I see the one thing I don't know about this, if they decide to fight it and it goes to a judge, the judge doesn't verify the relevance of the charges. The charges are fine, according to, I guess, they fit into the 7 things. But what I don't understand, so if you decide to fight it and it goes to the circuit court, a judge will decide whether these 3 things fit into the 7, not whether they're truthful or not. That's the difference. That's the whole fuzzy thing about a recall election. But would you try and take it to a judge to verify it, just to kind of even delay it out more? Would you do that?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
But you won't resign.
No, I'm not going to resign.
Okay. All right. So
I just think there's too many unknowns because you just don't know how it's going to go.
And I think the legislature, the reason it's set up this way is the legislature wants the voters to decide. Sure. They want the voters to decide on a recall. So that's why they've set it up this way. But there is this kind of funky thing where you don't really have to prove the charges, which is weird. So the first one, which involves Karen, who is also here, we'll ask her about this. You guys ran on John Herron being fired. There was no I mean, you saw that. I mean, that was obvious. The guy was, I'm not even going to, there was no doubt that you wanted him to be fired. You wanted to replace the town manager. And so the first charge is that there was some kind of nefarious behind the scenes thing after you were elected. I saw the string of emails you forwarded to me. As soon as you found out that Karen was talking to a specific attorney about maybe applying for the job, you backed off on it.
Right.
So
I
they
contacted an attorney. I'd gotten introduced by another attorney via email. My only contacts were via email. It was in December, right before the holidays. I asked if they were interested. He said yes. I said, well, let's discuss this after the holidays. I was leaving. Chris and I go to Maui every year. So I didn't contact him again until I got back. At that point, he said, full disclosure, Karen has contacted us and we have a presentation we're doing on the 23rd of January, 2023. And Keith Wilkins, the interim town manager at the time, brought that forward to the town council that Mr. Veach sat on. Mr. Herron was there. These were aired at the council meeting. There was nothing there. Karen and I never contacted each other. I mean, let's think about this. How silly would that be for Karen and I to coordinate? Yeah, let's both contact this attorney. How annoying would that be for the attorney? So Herron didn't find anything there. To me, as a town attorney.
What do you mean he didn't find anything there?
At this council meeting, it came out that we never violated the sunshine law regarding this contact.
Okay.
So
You think as an attorney, especially as a town attorney, he would be compelled at this time to forward to the state a violation of the sunshine law of Florida statute.
Yes.
Nothing ever happened. 2 years later.
And what I wanted
Over
so let
two
me
and a-
just, I just want to clarify. So you contacted that attorney,
Right.
and apparently so
Apparently.
did Karen do.
When
But
I
you
was-
guys, the two
not
of you,
known, not known at the time.
Right.
right? But but this is saying that the two of you had private conversations about
Right.
that, and
Never.
so that never happened.
Right. What you said.
And your point is well taken that if they thought it did,
Well-
then the charge should have been levied then,
Yeah,
not
so-
sort of
Right.
held back like,
Well,
I have a good
I think
hand
the
here.
charge states the exact Florida statute that it was allegedly
Yes.
violated.
286, whatever
Yeah.
that is. And the other thing, if you watch the Bill Veach interview, I said, Bill, you were on the town council at the time. If you thought they violated
Right.
the sunshine law, why didn't you file a charge back then?
He discussed
Like
it.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
he or Herron. To me, an attorney would be more compelled
Right.
to file a charge,
right. So that's
especially if he was worried about losing his job.
so yeah, that's a no on that. So the second one is John King.
Well, that one's been disproved. Moving
Right.
on.
Yes,
There's a
for
little
sure.
more air out of the balloon.
John King received unreported gifts of meals from parties who were seeking land use approvals from town council in violation of the ethics, blah, 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 the chapter. So they're alleging that you were purchased meals. I think that town council can get up to $25. Somebody's allowed to buy you a meal up to $25.
I
I'm
think
not
after
saying that happened.
25 and under 100, it has to be You have to
Reported.
file out of
Right.
form.
So have any developers bought you meals?
No.
So that's a
As a
hard
matter
no.
of fact,
Go ahead.
the last time I met with anybody that could be considered a developer, I paid for the meal. One of the individuals I bought for was here today too, was part of it. So there were three of us there. I paid for it.
Okay.
I'm the
Which
guy.
is not illegal.
No, I'm the guy that dedicated my first year's salary, take-home salary, to this
Right.
island. I gave over $15,000 to 3 island nonprofits: the Women's Club, the Art Association, and Fort Myers Beach Strong. Does that sound like somebody that goes out and solicits meals? As a matter of fact, last November.
And for you,
Na-
for
well, let me
somebody to
Let him
finish.
finish.
change,
Let him
All
finish.
right.
Stop interrupting.
Last
dear.
November. You can interrupt too. Last November, I bought a Thanksgiving lunch for the town employees. That wasn't known by everybody. It was known by Andy and the HR manager, but I did it because I wanted to show appreciation for these folks. I care about these people. They give up their lives to come work at an island that's been devastated, and I really appreciate that. And I also gave money to the sand sculpting competition. Chris and I helped sponsor that. So that's not somebody that goes out soliciting gifts.
Yeah.
I'm
John,
a
we've
giver.
never had-
I'm not
we-
a taker.
We've never had flies on the show
I
before, so I don't know
I
what
know.
the hell is
Well,
going on with the
I
flies.
think
Is this hairspray?
You could
The
close
other
your legs
thing
then,
too
but-
is
Oh,
if
geez.
you're going to accept, I mean, I'm guessing that the allegation is you're taking money for a vote.
No.
That is got to be one hell of a meal. Like,
Well, you did say that you had. Go ahead. You
No,
did say something to me about Terry Prasad, which is a whole different story. You had lunch with him, and you bought.
we met in February. We had lunch at Doc Ford's, and I'm the one who paid.
Okay. And the third one is John King violated section 4-04 of the town charter by dictating the removal of multiple town contract employees. And the town set up in the way that the council can talk to the town manager about employees, but they can't go directly to the town employees. The town is set up with a strong town manager and a weak town council. And I don't mean that in a negative way. That is the way it's set up. And that means the town manager has to have the authority to run the town. The council can't be running around telling other employees what to do. But I mean, how do you, I'm not saying but how do you answer that third one?
Well, this too has been discussed at town council meetings. By Bill Veach brought it up. The town managers will come to us after they've made personnel decisions and inform us. And at that point, I'll give an opinion, but I don't seek to change it or anything. It's interesting. They say contract employees. One of the planners, Sarah Probst, is leaving. I think she's moving to Virginia. I sent her an email and said, thank you for all you've done to the town, for the town. And she responded that I've enjoyed working with you. It's been an interesting couple of years on the island, and your ability to make everyone chuckle has helped us all. I think that says a lot about the kind of person.
Some of your jokes are not funny at the town council meetings. I mean,
now if that was on there, John, you might be in trouble.
Well, I'd be all for the recall if they would get rid of his jokes.
But
No,
you know,
kidding.
I think that goes back to the fact, you didn't sit behind a microphone, but for over 10 years I sat behind a microphone and attempted to try and entertain people. You can see at a town council meeting or even at an LPA meeting that people show up and they're nervous and they're frightened.
Yes.
They don't know the process. If I can make that a little less stodgy, go a little more smooth, a little more welcoming, that's all I'm trying to do. You know what? I get up every day and I try to make my wife laugh. We've been married 35 years now, last Monday.
Yes.
And
she's laughing.
and I try to make her smile or laugh each day. And
so one of the things that that Bill brought up on the show Monday was about Jason Green, that apparently the gist I got from it was that you were pressuring them to get rid of Jason Green. The fact of the matter is Jason was never fired. He still works for the town. So that whole thing was a little bit bizarre.
Yeah. And my remembrance is Keith Wilkins was the interim town manager at the time. He told me that Jason Green got very irate when Keith made the decision to bring Ed Rood's walkover forward to the council.
I remember that.
Yeah. And Jason, and I remember Keith telling me Jason was going to try and get him fired. And I said, well, good luck with that. And he decided at that point that he wasn't going to be presenting to council anymore.
Good.
And I said, and good, watch yourself. I found Jason to be very condescending to council anyway. So
Jason
that was what I said after the fact.
Jason adds about an hour to every council meeting because he just loves to hear himself talk. And Sarah gets up there and it sucks that she's leaving because she's by the book and I don't think.
To the point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate now for the town that Jason is going to have to get back up there and do the presentations, but he was never fired by the town.
As a matter of fact, he was supposed to be doing the development agreement that we're, looking for charges that we can have the developers pay.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to have been done in October.
The impact fees?
Impact,
the impact fees. It's still not been brought forward to the council.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That study took a year. So
really,
so what's your conclusion of this whole thing, John? What are you hearing from the people on the South End? I was told that
it's not just the South End, Ed. I'm getting a lot of folks contacting me. They've called, they've emailed, they've texted, and they've stopped me on the street. And I really, really appreciate it. Those are the people that I look forward to continuing to work for. There are just a lot of great people on this island. And then there's a small faction that
but you keep saying small faction, and they keep saying it's not that small.
Well,
and that's
I guess
where
we'll see.
I know we will. I mean,
see.
do you think you think they have 15% that to be able to get? But you can take a guess.
I'm not worried about that. I'm
asking you to answer the question though. Do you think they could get 15%?
I have no idea.
You have an idea.
No, I don't. I really
it's a
don't.
yes or no. Like you don't think? Do you or do you not think they can get 15%?
Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not focused on it because it really doesn't matter to me. There's important things in my life, and this is not one of them. This is just a small trial and tribulation.
Yeah.
I've watched two parents pass away. I was there when they took their last breath, and I got to tell them I love them. I had a widowmaker heart attack in 2018, so I know I've been living on borrowed time. This is not life and death.
This isn't taking you down.
This is not taking me down.
So Did you watch Bill's interview? You told me
No,
you
I
didn't.
didn't.
You didn't. Okay.
I have
So-
no need.
Okay. So, what is your vision of Times Square?
I've told you this before. Even when I ran, I have sometimes trouble with the vision thing. Maybe I'm George H.W. Bush. I don't know. He always had trouble with the vision thing as well. But if you show me something, then I can make a comment on it. But I don't know that obviously other than getting rebuilt.
Okay, so let me try to
I think that's the
let me
hard
try
So
to-
you don't want it to be a park. You would want it to be.
I don't think it should be a park. I mean,
Okay.
you're bordering two parks right there. I think that's my opinion, I guess.
So let me ask it a different way. Is your vision of Times Square shops and retail, or is your vision of Times Square maybe a hotel?
Well, I don't really have a vision.
Oh,
of that.
come on, John. You're
I
a
really
town
don't.
council member. You got to
And
have
he
some
can't.
kind of vision. Seriously, come on. Of Times Square. I mean, it's sacred
It
ground
has-
over there.
I don't know that.
What would you like
sacred
it?
ground.
Okay, well, what would you like to see it be?
I'd like to see something in there that people will come and they can support whatever's in there. I mean, it's been the heartbeat of this island for a long, long time, and it just needs to be addressed and taken
You
care
have
of.
no vision of Times Square, what you would like it to be in the future. None, other than
I'd
not
like
a
it-
park.
I'd like it to be a
Answer the
memorial
question.
for Ed Ryan.
Asked and well, you
Well,
might
asked
get
and
that
not
in a
answered.
minute because
All right. Any other things that
Come on, Ed. What's your vision?
it's not a hotel, and it's certainly not with Terry Prasad running it. That's I
Yeah.
mean, but that's obvious. So
Well, but that's also your personal issue too. So you have
I-
some.
yeah, well,
Personal issues.
well, how about clean up the Dairy Queen, John, or how about knock down the fresh cat? I
I
mean,
think
we don't
those-
have to go back in the
No,
past,
I
but
Right.
think those are points well
John,
taken.
we were
Okay.
almost out of that conversation.
no. And by the way, when Terry knocks off one
Here we
one
go.
floor of it, don't make it sound like he did that because Anita said, if you knock off one floor, I will vote for it. What Anita said was, if you knock off one floor, we can start the discussion. That's what Anita said. So what he's giving you now is a Moby mat. That's what the public benefit is. And so you're getting a bike rack and a Moby mat, and that's worth 50 hotel rooms or 30 hotel rooms. But I know you can't talk about that because you may vote on it. So
Well, my understanding is it's coming up the 19th. So.
yeah, he
And that's
has
another reason I-
bypassed the LPA.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I
think
asked him to go back, but
I don't think
he's
I've
chosen
ever
not
seen
to.
a 7-0 LPA vote in my life. I don't think in all the time I've been covering, I've seen a 7-0 vote. What the LPA should have done is not given any recommendation at all. If they don't give a recommendation, it can't go to the town council, right? Because you remember when it was 3-3, it couldn't move forward because there was no recommendation. But anyway, I know you guys got to vote on it. So is there anything else you want the people out there to know about as far as the recall?
Good luck. I'll say I trust the public. They're the folks that elected me. I haven't changed who I am in the last nearly in the 2.5 years. I'm still the person that I had a hip replacement on a Friday. I showed up for a meeting on a Monday against doctor's wishes. I had a stent placed in December. I zoomed in from the hospital room, the hallway, the prep room. After the procedure, I got back online after
Thank God you
in the
weren't having a
recovery.
colonoscopy.
well.
Um,
I'm somebody that cares.
Oh, we know that.
That's one of the reasons I got involved. I didn't like how I saw this town government operate originally. It was very vindictive, very threatening. There were two individuals that were a part of that. I ran to get rid of those. I ran to give voice to those that felt
Yeah.
they didn't have a voice. So
if this writ goes through and the judge decides the town council has to look at that project again, will you look at it with fresh eyes?
always, yeah. I try to keep an open mind on everything.
Do you think
I think that's what one of our charges is. So I take that very seriously.
do you think the town council made a bad decision in approving Seagate?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so you're still cool with 17 floors.
Well, we're not even sure it's going to be 17 floors.
We're pretty sure.
The final product hasn't come out there yet.
Have you seen Matt Price since the vote?
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't talked to him. Haven't contacted him. He
Nothing?
hasn't contacted
You didn't
me.
buy him a meal, or he didn't buy you a meal?
He has never bought me a meal.
Just
damn it.
kidding. So if
By the way, I'm having breakfast after I leave here.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for that
after
too.
you leave here or here,
After I leave
I
here.
see. So if
And I'm
well,
paying for that and my wife's. by the way.
well, that's good. I'm glad
Well,
you're paying
that's
for your
nice.
wives. If yeah, are you going to run again for election?
I don't know. I talked to some people about it, and that makes me wonder too. Part of this too is I had talked, about whether I wanted to or not, and so now this almost seems to be another roadblock to try and keep me from running, I guess, if I make that decision. But I haven't crossed that bridge yet. But
If the bridge was to
I
be
just wanna-
crossed
I
tomorrow,
wanna
would you
ask,
vote yes or
What
no?
do you think?
Okay, your wife says you should run again.
well,
Wow,
Chris,
very nice.
Chris knows me the best. I know my heart. Chris knows my heart, and my God knows my heart, and my heart is pure and good. So,
Were you happy with the Pope being from America?
he just not a fan of Green Bay. That's the problem. I'm a Packers owner, and
He's a White Sox fan. I think I heard that. What I want to know is those people that are waiting outside for the smoke color to change. Do they not have jobs? Like those people are camping out in front of that
Dear,
smokestack.
It's a
like,
big thing.
who
And you're
does that?
Catholic.
It's
I
like
can't
it could have
believe you
gone
don't
on
even
for
get that.
weeks. It would have been like Woodstock after a while.
I saw a meme about that. The smoke coming out of the chimney, and then it had the Cardinals down at the grill with
Making hot dogs. Nice.
flipping burgers and hot dogs. So,
Any final?
flowers, there you go.
From Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions for John? Anybody before we let him eat breakfast? Anybody?
Baconator, it's good.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No, just thanks for the opportunity.
Anything you want to say about Andy? I'm so glad he's leaving.
I really like Randy, and I'm going to miss. Oh, Andy. I'm
Andy,
sorry.
yeah. I think his name's Andy.
Yeah. No, he's remarkable. He and I got really close. We're about the same age. We've gone through a lot of this similar things.
I didn't know he was that old.
Oh, wow.
No, and his last day will be, the first day for Will is the 19th.
Probably the end of May. But
Cool.
He's done a fantastic job for this island.
Yes.
And he's done a fantastic job, period. He's a good and decent human being who didn't deserve what was brought
Freddie.
onto him and his family.
Freddie.
And
have you heard from Freddie at all? I haven't heard from
never
Freddie.
Heard from him at all.
I see. I haven't seen him in the gym or anything since he accosted me that one day outside the gym.
Stop.
But Andy got us to where we needed to be, and I'm glad he's getting to spend more time with his family.
Yeah. All right, John King, everybody. Big hand for
Thank
John.
you.
All righty. All right, before we get to Karen Woodson, I want to tell you about our sponsors of the day. I don't know where Tom Coleman is, but Tom is usually here to read his own ad. Tom specializes in seamless gutters and aluminum and vinyl soffit fascia repairs or a full replacement. He also does rescreen work, and if you get your front screen door fixed by Tom and your wife breaks it because the dog gets caught on the door, he'll come back and fix it at no charge. And so you can give Tom Coleman a call. He's sitting in his truck right now somewhere at 239-340-1639. 239-340-1639. If you watched the walk around this morning, you saw Alex King has a nice property for sale. Alex has a lot of properties for sale because he creates dreams and elevates lifestyles. Give Alex King a call because he wants you to live in your dream home right here on Fort Myers Beach, where everybody wants to live. 239-219-0336. 239-219. Oh, there's Tom right now. He's watching from somewhere. 219-0336. And lastly, the Michael Stewart is our other advertiser, but we'll save him for the end of the show. All right, dear. Your rest is over. Our third guest, actually, of the show is your councilwoman, Karen Woodson. Big hand for Karen. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Big time support.
Hello.
Big time
And let
support.
me tell you, May is a busy month because it's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Today,
Thank you.
tomorrow,
Thank you.
our daughter, my mom.
Yes.
May is a busy month for birthdays.
big weekend.
Anybody else got
Big
birthdays in
weekend.
May?
Birthdays
Hey, happy
coming up.
birthday.
Anniversaries are coming up for these 10 years.
I
Yeah.
see your husband is here. We need a full report on how he's doing. He looks fabulous. So what's going on with his situation? He's got his back to you, which is
He doesn't want to be.
how's Mark
He's
doing?
like, he wants to walk away right now.
That's right.
Oh, everybody wants to know how he's doing. He looks
I don't know.
great.
He looks good, doesn't
Yes.
he? He always looks good.
Put the weight back
looks good.
on. He looks good. So excellent. All right.
Not all of it yet, but that's okay.
He's working on it. Have a big meal here. You'll put about 10 pounds on. That's for sure. So, Karen, let me start off in the reverse order kind of thing. What is your vision for Times Square?
Okay, so we are voting on this, so
I didn't
I
ask
am
you
not
about a
going to talk
specific
about
project.
specifics
All right.
at all. I loved walking up there, going to the restaurants, the bars, walking out to the beach. It needs to come back. I mean, people want Times Square to come back. So
Not a question
some
at all.
iteration.
yeah, in some iteration, but I mean, I love restaurants. I love bars. I love music. I love everything about Times Square the way it was.
Do you like shops?
Oh, I love
shops.
shops. Yeah. I didn't even we don't have no retail except for surf style
Right.
on the north end of the island. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. I mean, we need our retail back. We need our shops. We need a lot of things back.
Generally speaking, of course, do you view a 7-0 LPA vote different than maybe a 4-3 or a 3-4?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, good enough. Do you think, I think that you made your point, and it'll be interesting to see how the 19th goes. So I'm not going to bring up a specific project. Before we get to this, one other thing.
Can you read that? That's really
Yes,
small.
I don't know why
know.
I printed out smaller than the other
Like,
one.
seriously.
The other thing is a lot of it's similar, but can I?
Speaking of the LPA, you have a pair, that's for sure. You got up there and you criticized Anita, the chair of the LPA. Now, just for the
I
record,
didn't criticize Anita per se. I
Fair enough.
disagreed
Fair
with
enough.
what she did because I believe, and I will say this until my dying day, that when you are in a council position, when you're in an LPA role, when you're appointed by the town, that you are held to a different standard. And that's what I was going against, is that standard should be different and it should be acknowledged as a different standard. And you don't bite the hand that feeds you, or
No.
in this case, appoint you.
do you, so obviously you don't regret making that public comment at the LPA meeting. You think
Absolutely
so
not.
the thing that was a little bit peculiar to me about that was that you and Scott, Councilman Safford, mentioned that situation at a town council meeting. You, when I said you have a pair, I don't mean that literally, but you got up and you spoke a public comment, and
Can
you
pick another?
yeah, I'm sorry about
terminology?
that. And Scott came to the meeting and sat in the crowd, and he didn't get up and speak. Do you feel like you were kind of let down by that because
I expected it with him.
that he wouldn't speak?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because he was equally as critical of the situation of the donation. And then as soon as the public comment was over, I felt like you were left, well, you and Paula and Ed was here a little minute ago. Oh, there he is. Spoke about it. And then he walked up and left.
Mhm.
But he was critical of that in the town council meeting.
Okay.
All right. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're not saying. All right. So the recall thing, were you surprised by it?
I was shocked. I had heard rumors about it, but I never had been through anything like this. I never expected to be. And I'm really sad. I'm sad about it.
Yeah. So the first thing was the same thing with John. There was an alleged communication outside the public arena where they say you and John were discussing the attorney or the possibility, because an attorney, you're not, for the Sunshine Law, you're not allowed to speak about things that may come up for a vote.
Right.
And so you want to avoid those things all the time.
Right.
And
And
so-
we're not allowed to speak to each other about any town business
Right.
at all, except in a public meeting.
Right. And so their allegation number one against you
Mhm.
is the same thing as it was against John about this. So what's your recollection of that whole thing? Go ahead and put it out there.
Well, it never happened. I mean, basically, I had a face-to-face meeting with these town attorneys or with these attorneys. I go on record. I wanted John Herron gone. I wanted
Mhm.
Roger Hernstedt gone. I campaigned on it all the way through. It was no surprise that they
That
were
you
not
would-
my favorite
Mhm.
people. I actually asked for Herron's resignation 3 different times over a 6-month period in front of everybody at a town council meeting. But John and I never spoke about it outside of our town council meetings. We never met with anyone. I actually met in person with the legal group, and then come to find out that John had actually gotten the same name. And they never really even, when we did the RFP finally, they never even applied.
Right. That's not relevant, though.
Right.
What's relevant is their claim that the two of you were speaking to each other about an issue. The
That
specific
claim
attorney.
is totally incorrect.
Okay, it's
and
false.
for them,
It's false.
There's no emails that are going to be uncovered where they
Nope.
see you two going back and
but
forth.
that's the thing. When Bill was on the show, he said that, they have proof that an attorney that they spoke with said they have enough proof. So,
None of that. No. He said, and I kind of feel
But in
like his
general-
attorney is Heron. he admitted that he speaks to Heron and Roger. I mean, talk about going back to the future, man. And they said, the only thing Bill would say was they feel like they have enough evidence. Well, they really don't have to have any evidence. They just have to state these things in 200 words or less. And then, like John said, they're probably calling everyone up and saying it's about Seagate. So there's no emails that are going to be uncovered that say, okay, John, let's be in cahoots about some town attorney.
Not on my
Okay.
end.
nothing on your
John's end.
phone.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so
Nothing.
that was number 2. The first one is a private conversation with Jim Adderholt regarding the rebuilding of the pier. I have to be honest with you, that
This
one
makes
made me
no
laugh
sense.
because the pier is a county property
Mhm.
and the group.
Well,
Go
let
ahead,
me tell
Karen.
you about the pier. So I was actually appointed by our town council as the liaison for the pier. And that was when we had Let's Go FMB. So I met a ton with Alan Shinosky, who put the whole presentation together that I gave to the Board of County Commissioners. So Alan Shinosky, Alex King, Barry Frank, who else is in there? There was a group of us. Jim was nowhere to be found in that because I was the liaison. So I was the one that took the presentation in front of the Board of County Commissioners. I was the one that made the presentation to TDC. I was the one who followed up
I was
and
there.
as a result got a year cut off of the planning of it. So in no way, shape, or form was Jim involved in any of this except that he voted in the council meeting that I would be the liaison.
And the
That's
thing,
it.
the other thing about that committee,
So
there was
weird.
that it was not a town sanctioned committee. It's
No.
not like it was a public safety committee or the MRF committee.
No, it
it
was Let's Go
wasn't-
FMB. It was a bunch of concerned citizens that
Right.
wanted the rebuild to go faster.
So
That's what it was.
And the town has no vote when it comes to the pier because it's a county piece of property. So even if you and Jim were sitting at a table talking about the pier, how could that even be a violation of
Yeah.
any sunshine law?
I mean, we as a town tried to influence what was going to happen at the pier.
Mhm.
Actually, I wanted it to
And they
be-
kind of reached out. They wanted,
They
the
wanted-
county
For sure.
wanted.
Yeah, they showed up at Let's Go FMB meetings.
Mhm.
I mean, Kevin Ruane was there.
The town manager, the
Sandelli
county.
at the time was there.
Yeah.
Dave Harner
Yeah,
was
Dave
there.
Harner.
They all showed up for that meeting to
So
hear about it.
even
And I
if-
wanted it 9/28/22 and it didn't happen.
What? Wait, so
I
even
wanted the length to be 928
Oh, I see.
feet
I
and
see. I
22
got you.
feet long because
I
928,
got you.
22.
There you
That
go.
I'm
shook
a little
us away.
bad with numbers, but I mean, and if we're being honest, the pier's never going to be rebuilt anyway before we all die in this
That
room.
is not true. It is not
It
true.
Talk
feels
about
like it.
Coming back.
misinformation.
Feels like it. Yeah.
They're like 80%, I think, of planning and engineering.
Good. So even if emails are uncovered between you and Jim, I can't even see how that's a violation. Look, I know.
But this says a private conversation.
I know,
So
but
how does someone have privy to you having a private conversation?
well, that's all.
It
Do you-
just doesn't
I mean,
make
It's
does
gotta
sense.
be
everybody
recorded.
understand who Jim Adderholt is?
Right.
He would never, ever violate a sunshine law if his life depended on it.
Right.
Nor would Dan, nor would any of us.
Right.
We're
Right.
not in this to get ourselves in trouble.
Did you watch the Bill Veach interview?
No.
You didn't. Okay. Well, let me refresh.
Well, I
some
didn't
of
watch
what he
it.
said.
We were in council till 5:30 that day.
Believe me,
by
I
the
know.
way.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't even
So
take a nap.
You quit recording us so that you could
Yes.
record Bill.
So one of the things he said was, when we have one more to go through, but one of the things he said was that he thought that the town, the way they responded to Hurricane Ian at the time, the information they were getting out was just fine. They got out the information. I have to be honest with you, I shit my diaper. I mean, really. How can you honestly believe that the town got information out to its residents at the time? I mean, that's one of the things he said. And I mean, I do respect Bill, but you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, seriously? Really? The PIO was stuck at Red Sox Stadium. She couldn't even figure out how to get on the beach.
there's a lot of things that I don't agree with Bill Veach on. I mean, I don't think we ever voted the same on anything, but that's his opinion. That's his memory. I can't do anything about that, but I
guess the
personally
question.
don't believe
Okay.
that was the case.
All right.
I think it was horrible how they responded.
And just to refresh everybody's memory about
Just to be clear,
Ray,
horrible.
Ray Murphy, the former mayor, lost to somebody who never ever was on a committee. I think not only was that, I think that John was at the right place at the right time. I think that he lost the election too. We watched him at the free parking lot in Lee County when they were trying to figure out how to get people on the island.
The whole language thing.
It was me and it was Dan, and nobody from the town was there. And then Ray showed up, and you don't ever forget that when a resident asked him a question, he told them to F off. Please don't forget that. Nobody on this council has ever told a resident on the island to F off. Right to their face, he told them to F off. Now, if his name's on the ballot, just remember that one thing, if it does get to a ballot. So the last,
right.
go ahead, the last point, I just want to make it that I know Bill's out there, but Ray and Steve Johnson are behind the scenes, and there's no doubt about that. If you put those two out front, it's a different story. Do you think they'll be able to get the percentage of the signatures, 10 or 15?
I mean, I have no idea. I hope not. I hope they can't. That would send a really strong statement about our town. And I mean, it just makes me really sad that there's so much divisiveness and division taking place, and we should be building together. We shouldn't be breaking down and tearing each other apart. I just don't understand it.
No. And yeah. And I've seen on posts where there's talk about the exact opposite, that this stuff like this brings people together. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how that.
She watches all the haters on Facebook to make sure she's monitoring all that. So.
Hey, speaking of the Pope, there he is.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
I never knew an American could be voted in as Pope. I didn't know that. I guess I'm not really religious at all.
Yeah,
although I am Catholic.
You're treading in uncharted territory for yourself.
I'm glad he's an American.
All right. So, and then the last one,
Meals.
which is the same one that John had, is that you received unreported gifts of meals and in-kind services.
What is an in-kind service?
I don't even know
From
what
parties.
an in-kind service is.
Parties?
Like, did you get massages? Did you get your hair done? Like, I
Wow.
don't know. What's going on?
There was some speculation from one of our constituents about Moss Marine and when that kind of thing. And actually, Ben Freeland asked me about it. It's like, what is this? I said, it's nothing. I said, our boat sunk on your dock and your guys were incredible. And they came and they lifted it. They did everything they could to save it. It was a total insurance claim.
But you paid for the service to have your boat docked there.
Absolutely, we paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So did a developer ever buy you a meal?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I've never even been out for a meal with a developer because we always meet either at the council offices or at their offices. They've maybe given me a bottle of water.
Okay. And that's well below the 25. I mean, what kind of water do you drink? I mean,
well, it was high. No,
It's a high-end water.
high-end osmosis water.
Yeah.
Yes.
so
it's
that
from the
one's
Aegean Sea.
all three of these are clearly, in your view, false.
Yes,
There's
absolutely
there's
false.
nothing that's going to come up in Bill Veach's proof that wasn't willing to show on Monday that you think will.
And why wasn't he willing to show it on Monday?
It was-
that was really interesting.
It was
too.
interesting.
It was
because
interesting.
because even what Greg Skasny said to me, he goes, Ed, we don't need to prove anything.
Well, and that's what is so insane about this
Yeah,
whole
it's
process.
Crazy.
It's like, how can you make these accusations about people and
Right.
their ethics and their really who they are as human beings and not have to prove a thing? I don't understand that.
Well, it gets back to what I was saying before. Then it falls to the people who are signing the petition to
Right.
know what they're signing and if there's any evidence to back it up. Now, if you've said it, they've said it, it's about Seagate, then just find a way to do it
can't.
that way. All right. Well, then
they
you can't do
they
it.
have
But
the writ of certiorari in there. We're
Right.
just waiting on the judge's decision.
Which could,
So-
could take, the
Yeah.
judges could take for as long as they want.
And the other thing you asked John about that I wanted to comment on, because I have had a conversation with Nancy, our
The
town attorney.
Oh, good.
If we choose to get an attorney, we go and get our own attorney. The town does not.
Interesting.
However, we can go back and ask the town to pay for our attorneys when this is all said and done. They don't actually.
They don't pay it
defend
up
us.
front.
They don't pay up front. They don't defend us through
Interesting.
the town attorneys, but we can go back and be reimbursed through the town, which means the taxpayers pay for our
Right, and
attorneys.
the special election.
And
will-
they'll pay for that special election.
20 to
And
$25,000.
taxpayers pay for the special election. too.
So I guess I didn't ask you this. If they do get the 10%, will you resign?
No,
So
absolutely
that means
not.
they have to go back. That means they have to go back and get the 15%. And then what happens on the ballot, I think I said this, is do you want to recall? I don't know if there needs to be 2 ballots or 1 ballot, but the
I think it's
voters,
2 separate ballots.
the voters will get 2 questions. Do you want to recall Karen Woodson? Do you want to not recall Karen Woodson? Then underneath those 2 boxes will be a list of candidates that you can vote for. And if they do get recalled, you have to have 50% of the voting population will have to recall you. And then whoever gets the top 2 number of votes, assuming, I guess one could be recalled and maybe the other can't. I guess that could happen, but
Who's going to be running?
well, I mean,
That'll
Bill,
be interesting.
well,
to see.
That's what I wanna know.
speculate about that, Karen. I mean, I think that even though he wouldn't commit to it, you got to think Bill would run. I think he regrets probably resigning because he resigned. He resigned because he was afraid that he was going to have to show, not afraid, but he was going to have to fill out a form that showed how much he was worth. And that form was never kind of solidified by the legislature.
Right, it
So
was called off.
right. And so maybe he didn't commit to much on Monday. He didn't commit to that either.
Right.
But after that, I would hope that I don't know. Who do you think?
I have no idea.
You think okay, throw some names out there.
Ed Ryan.
no,
You can't. You
I
don't
can't.
live on the
That's
island.
right.
No,
Sorry.
I think that I don't know. You'd
I
have
don't
to
know.
have 2 people. I mean,
Yeah.
Greg would probably run. I
Well,
guess. And he
I'm
thinks
guessing. Do you think it's anyone who's behind this would
of
run?
course, I think.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. So you won't resign. Okay. So then the attorney part, so you can fight it in circuit court is how I think the whole process goes. Would you try and take it to a circuit
how do you
court?
mean fight it?
Because you could ask a circuit court judge to decide whether those 3 things fit into the 7. That's it. That's the only thing the
the only
circuit
thing
court
you can
judge.
do.
Would
but
you
they
would you try
fit
and,
in there if they don't have to provide proof of it.
right?
that
But
it
what I'm
fits.
saying is it's more of a delay process. That's all it really is. Would you fight it, or you would say, listen, I'm going to let the voters decide. Put it on the ballot. What
No.
would you do?
I mean, the voters decided to put us in here. I'll let the voters decide to take us out if that's what they want to do.
Gotcha. So so you wouldn't get an attorney, or would you? Would you get an
I
attorney?
don't
you
know
think?
yet. I
Okay,
haven't
too
decided.
early. It is
I
kind of early.
honestly,
Oh, fair
honestly
enough.
have not decided yet.
Fair enough.
The
I'm
thing
just
is,
where
when
it's
you
Mother's Day and my birthday
Birthday,
tomorrow.
I know.
I'm
Stop
ready
trying
to
to change the subject.
Well, I'm just saying, you asked me to
I
come
know.
on here and I'm
Right.
like delaying my
I know.
plans for you, Ed,
Let's
just so
be
you
honest.
know.
She's got a lot of family, and she did change her schedule to come in because this really is. I mean, I think it's a major thing. I've
is.
never been around something like that, and
I've never
Right.
never even heard of this, quite honestly.
so let's say the judge decides that the writ should be sent back to the town council. Will you look at that with a fresh set of eyes, or you're
No,
happy?
You have to. No,
Are
you
you-
have to.
Are you okay with 17?
Okay, like we don't know if it's going to be 17. That is the highest that they can go. It
Right.
could end up to be 14. It could end up to be 15. What I saw in the original plan was a bunch of small buildings, and it looked like an army barracks with all these 3- and 4-story buildings around. So it didn't look attractive at all.
I never
So-
saw. Nobody in the public has ever seen that picture.
Well, and I saw it after the fact.
Yeah.
So I never saw it in presentations or anything like that either. I saw it after the fact.
But are you okay with 17?
It's a tough decision. I think if there was ever a place on the island, a piece of property on the island that kind of development could go, it would be that it's a big enough place. And the 17 stories are pushed to the
Setback.
back.
Mhm.
You know, the reality is you can't see over 3 stories any better than you can see over 17 stories. If you're in a 1-story home.
Wouldn't you prefer to go? I'm not feeling that applause there. So that was half-assed.
There they go.
Yeah. So I guess would you feel more comfortable if Matt said, "Listen, I think I've caused some angst on Fort Myers Beach. Let me drop it down to 12." I mean,
Yeah, that's up to Matt. And, you know,
because I think you could have
That's
got
a
12
big-
without any of this. I think people were just like, "Holy crap, they asked for 17 and they could get 17." And that seems like what the hang up is on that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. If it comes back, we'll have to go through it all again. We'll look at everything. Hopefully, Matt will have some new ideas for it. We'll go from there.
What are you doing for Mother's Day?
We are getting ready to head down to Naples.
Very nice. Does anyone have any questions for Karen? Anybody? Anything else you want to say to the voters out there as they get harassed to sign this petition?
I just, you know, you all voted me in, and I appreciate that. I hope that you will see through this for what it is and that we can all move forward together.
And last question, if you had to decide today to run again for re-election, would you run?
I have not decided.
Okay.
Mark.
Should she run again, Mark?
Should she run again?
Hey, maybe Mark will run.
There you go. He's like, I don't want any of this crap.
He's ready to. He already paid the bill. He's ready to go home.
No, he's ready to go to
He's
Naples.
eaten, he's full, he's ready to go.
All right, Karen. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on.
Thank you.
Big hand for Karen Woodson and John King for coming on and putting up with. Go ahead. What?
You know, well, you've made the point before too about
What?
You know, them doing this recall on these guys for something that it's really not about. So when she said, you know, let the voters decide, but they're voting on something that's not a real thing. It's really about the Seagate thing.
It
So
is.
just wait until the next election, and then if you don't want them in,
Right. And if they
I
decide
mean,
to run, then you can say
they decide to run, and you don't want them in, then do it then.
here's-
But this,
Here's what I think is the most interesting thing about if a recall goes to a vote. We will finally find out whether 50% of this community is in
Right.
favor of Seagate or not in favor of Seagate. Because if it does go to a recall and it gets shot down, then we know that the people has said, listen, it's not the end of the world. I mean, and
the
they're
debate
not going
about
to
that
recall them on
silent
that.
majority will be,
Yeah. Yeah, and so I guess if that would be the only, I'm not saying positive or negative, but then you would know once and for all, because it's hard to tell how many people are actually against Seagate on this island, or how many people, because the people that are like ambivalent about it, they're not going to go out. I tried to get people that are in support of Seagate to come on the show, and they're like, I don't need any of that crap. Why would why would I need people shooting arrows at me? I'm not just an average person. And you know, it's down there. It's down in that spot. And I'm down here and I just want a restaurant down here. Just build a restaurant. If it's 17 stories, I just need a freaking restaurant down here. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the whole thing works out. And the unfortunate thing for Will is coming into a brand new job and he's facing
Welcome
this.
to
I mean,
Fort Myers Beach.
yeah. So, but he's going to be great and he's not going to put up with any crap. So, all right, everybody. Our final sponsor today is Michael Stewart, structural engineer, Michael Stewart. And Michael Stewart, it sponsors everything we do. He sponsors our races. He sponsors our walkarounds. He's a sponsor of the show. Please follow Michael Stewart on Facebook because you get to see some of the videos that he puts together of the different structures, because the last thing you want is for your structure to fall down. And it's never going to happen if you have Michael Stewart on speed dial and he's the first person you call when you rebuild. You can actually go on his website. He has a website. Go figure. He has a website. mstewartpe.com. 239-292-7670 is Michael Stewart's phone number. Check him out on Facebook or email him, mstewart@mstewartpe.com. Thank you all for tuning in. I didn't check out any of the comments today, so hope you enjoyed the show. And we will see you next weekend. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.